Welcome to Friday Fish Facts. I'm your host, Ron DeSantis. We have got Kasia here, Creative Pet Keeping, is in the house with us today. Hello, Kasia. Thank you for joining me today.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. It should be so much fun.
We're excited to have you here. And you're fresh off your Shella trip. So let's hear a little bit about it. How was Shella?
Shella was so much fun, but it was also a ton of hard work because for the first time ever, we tried to make like a super special, extra awesome booth and try to actually organize the YouTubers a little bit. And it was a ton of work to do it, but it was fun and it was super rewarding. And we learned a lot about setting up a booth and just setting up different parts, seeing what works and what doesn't. Our booth actually changed the entire layout day to day, which was kind of funny. Like every day people came in and it was like completely different because we were like in total experimental mode. But the place sold out like on Saturday completely.
Yeah,
and
I saw the lineups.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I'm excited for Chicago. Come to Chicago if you can. It should be lots of fun.
So how did, like, a lot of people had like the Shella creator ribbon around their neck. So how do you get one of those as to being just a person that like buys a ticket?
Oh, so for that we made a special Facebook group just for YouTubers. So you have to be a channel that creates content regularly. Preferably we want someone that at least makes videos like once a month regularly, that is kind of serious about being a fish keeping YouTuber. And then all those people we organize through Rob and his awesomeness. He talks to the event people. In this case, it was Sean and George who run Shella with aquatic experience. They also directly talk to the people who run that. And that allows us to provide creators with a badge to be able to attend and kind of have their YouTube name on there, and also like be able to come for free because it's kind of expensive to travel out. So we help in at least a little bit of a way we can.
Oh, that's cool. So like if you're one of the YouTube creators, then you didn't have to buy your ticket?
Yeah, because kind of want to make it easier for people to be able to come in because the events themselves benefit from us making videos and about it and spreading the hype. So we want it to be like a beneficial experience both ways, where we give something to the events and then the events give back to us.
Oh, that's cool. Because I know like I'd love to go to one of those events one day, but my whole family is really into fish keeping. So that's my wife and my 2 kids. So that's 4 plane tickets and hotels and tickets. But that would definitely save on some of the cost.
Yeah,
that was available.
Like every little bit. I don't know how it's gonna, if things will change for future venues, but for Shella for Dallas, and we're gonna hopefully have the same thing happen for Chicago. We did offer every curator to have a +1. So if they brought someone, we also provided an extra pass for them so that can be like a volunteer to help at the booth. So at the moment, that's the most we can do, but that helps us a little bit too.
Let's say hello to some people out of here. Brandon was here early. That's Mr. B's Fish and Things. Kent's Fish, formerly Corey Boy Aquatic Fam, was here. V-Stag is here. Fancy Tail Aquatics, Science Gal Aquatics, Vinoski Tank, Big Easy, Aussie Fish Adventures. And thank you very much, Mike, from the Fish Tank Barn, $4.99 super chat for the tip jar. Thanks for helping with the fish booth. Kasia, sorry that one is in my channel, though. I'm sorry. I owe you next time you do a live stream. Hey, Dawn, how's it going?
It's okay. It can go towards a computer fund.
Yeah, for sure. I know. We were going through kind of like some of my setup here today because I just got a new webcam. But the webcam, which is a really good webcam, which I'm not using right now because my computer's too slow. But so that means now I just need to upgrade my computer. So upgrade the computer, we can get the webcam going, and it will all be good. So you're from Poland. How old were you when you moved over to the U.S.?
So when I was 7 years old, my parents brought me over. We immigrated here, and we've been living in Chicago ever since, and it's been kind of cool.
Have you been back to Poland to visit?
No. One day I would like to go, but like a lot of stuff keeps like coming up and just complicates everything. So for now, I'm just kind of hanging out over here. But one day I will journey back.
So I think it was 9 years ago was your first YouTube video. You've been putting stuff on YouTube for a long time, and I think it was one on a guinea pig. So what has changed on YouTube since you started?
Oh my gosh, so much. Before I even started my channel, I used to actually lurk on YouTube a lot, and I used to actually follow a lot of pet related channels. And back in the day, the pet community was a little different because the fish community was tiny, and the pet community was more about you would have 1 or 2 types of animals, and then you would go above and beyond for that particular animal. One OG channel that still makes videos that she kind of is like the perfect example of this is a channel called Hopping Hammy. She usually owns 1 hamster at a time, and she makes ginormous cages for them, like for that 1 hamster. Like it's amazing. And there was another channel that I used to follow called Piggy Pig Pigs, and she used to make guinea pig cages that were huge. She just built them, and they were just these beautiful, huge cages. She would go so above and beyond for her piggies that I adopted some guinea pigs myself from a rescue called Critter Corral, which is kind of local here. And I didn't have a lot of space because I lived at my parents' house. I only had my bedroom, and I tried to utilize what space I had. And I thought, why don't I put them in the closet and use the whole bottom space of the closet? And then I tried it out, and it was definitely an upgrade from the generic pet store cage that they had. And I thought I would share it on YouTube, and I thought I would become a pet related channel that would focus on my guinea pigs and then maybe my dog, because I used to have a black Labrador. And
I know, I saw those videos.
And I made a couple of videos over time, and I finally got a tank. And it was the stupidest reason why I got a tank, because we had a science fair coming up, and I thought that if I get like a 20-gallon long and I divide it 3 ways and make 1/2 natural, like planted, and then another half with a bunch of fake plants, and the other half with like just gravel and nothing, and put 1 single neon tetra in each side, for some reason my like high school brain thought that I can observe the differences in behaviors of how the environment will affect the fish, even though the poor little neon tetras are just gonna be miserable because they're by themselves. So of course,
that's a cool idea, though.
And, like in theory, maybe if I did this with maybe like a bigger, more intelligent fish, such as maybe like a cichlid species, maybe I could observe something. So then, like, I got the fish, nothing happened. I took out the dividers, let them like live together, ended up with like gravel that mixed up, and it was like black and blue because one side was like blue gravel and black. And then I started spraying the plants out. I bought more fish, and then I decided to be a rebel and get bettas, which at the time, the idea of keeping a betta with any other community fish that were peaceful was a big no-no. Like on YouTube, like everyone was like, you keep a betta in its own tank by itself, and that is it. You do not put in with other fish. And I did it. And oh my gosh, did the internet come after me. But I kind of proved my point that if you put the right kind of temperament betta, because some male bettas are more aggressive than others, but if you find the right one and put it with other peaceful fish in a planted tank, you can do it. And then I noticed that people really wanted to see the fish videos. Like those did way better than any of my other videos. And somehow creative pet keeping kind of started to become creative fish keeping.
Well, you have 14 tanks now.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh, my fish kingdom, or as like Daniel refers to it, he goes, whenever people come over, he's like, "How do you like the zoo?"
Yeah, for sure. Well, he's got his own shrimp now that he's got going on there, so he's involved too, right?
Yeah.
Ray's Aquaria says lurkers unite separately and secretly. Ray, when she was on, we did an interview with Ray. That was one of my favorite ones that we've done. We've got a question here from Kent's Fish, formerly Cory Boy Aquatic. So you've been working with Jason, that's Primetime Aquatics, for a long time now. Do you think you're going to get a big cichlid?
Oh, I would love to, because I live in an apartment right now, and I live on the 5th floor, so I'm pretty high up. I don't feel comfortable getting anything bigger than, like, I have this 55-gallon here.
Yeah.
So if I could have a larger species where it could be, like, one cichlid that would be okay with a 55, then I would do it. I know it's not big enough for flower horns. It's not big enough for Oscars. So at the moment, I'm growing out some Placidochromis jalo in here, and soon I'm going to be spreading them out amongst our club. So I'm just kind of limited to nano tanks due to like my living situation at the moment. But I think one day, if not in this place, if I ever move and if this situation arises itself, I would like to be able to provide whatever cichlid or whatever fish I have the appropriate amount of space. I don't want to like try to put a flower horn in a 55 and like hope it's okay. Like I want to do my best.
Hello, Pam. How's it going? Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining Dan, the Salty Reef, Big D Smoke. Ray's wondering, any plans for a brackish tank?
Ooh, well, I technically almost have one right now with the Betta Mahachai because I'm keeping them in black water, but I'm also keeping them in a higher salinity content. But I had to drop it a little bit because it used to be too high and it was melting all of my Anubias. I had a beautiful gold coin Anubias. It was like a really big one that I got from H2O plants, and then it died. So because Betta Mahachai are one of the only bettas, wild betta species that are kind of more close to coastal areas, they do like prefer higher salinity content. So that's like the closest I got.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
But, oh my gosh, like Zenzos, mudskippers
they're
are really like, oh, I'm resisting so hard.
Yeah.
Because they're so cute. They have so much personality. I'm like,
I
want to try.
So that's Tazawa Tanks. There's also another channel, Jesse HC Aqua, which is where Zenzo got the idea from when he went over and visited him over in Hawaii. He's got mud skippers too, so if you guys like mud skippers, definitely check those out. So dogs, cats, rabbits, guinea pigs, fish. What's your favorite?
Ooh, oh my. That's a hard one. I would have to say maybe I guess my dog Banana, because she's the one animal that I can not only enjoy at home, but I can also go on adventures. I can go camping with her. I can bring her to the events. We brought her to Aqua Shella, and everyone got to enjoy her too. That was so much fun. But
yeah, that's cool.
I love all the critters.
I mean, a dog you can take everywhere. You have a close relationship with, and the fish are awesome. Don't get me wrong. But.
She's very awesome at like traveling. She's learned. She's come a long way. She used to be scared of being in the car, and now she goes everywhere. She's been to 16 different states at this point.
Oh, that's cool.
Adventure dog.
So we briefly touched on your 55-gallon, and you have had African cichlids before. Do you think you would do that again?
Well, right now, I think I'm starting to become mostly cichlid at this point. I already have a couple African species. I haven't had like a show tank in a while. You know, like a pretty like generic like male peacocks and maybe some ACI and some electric yellows. I want to do that, but unfortunately, because I am a part of the Greater Chicago Cichlid Association, where I'm kind of trying to get their breeder award for 10 different species, I'm almost there. I had to be like very careful with the amount of space I have and how I utilize it. But, like once I get my little plaque, I think I'll feel accomplished, and then I can maybe like set up a more permanent show tank, because I've been kind of rotating species out a little bit, mostly to learn too, because I would like to work with scarce species kind of maybe in a year or two. So I'm trying to learn with more common species before I kind of commit.
I have seen that video where you do talk about trying to get that award by breeding the 10 species. So which ones have you bred so far? I
actually have a list. Ooh, because let's hear it. My memory is horrible. So I have a little notebook right here. And it's my
I know some of the ones that you've bred. I can start rattling them off for you.
This is my magical list. Ooh, I mean, wrong way. This way. This is kind of like how I keep track.
Yeah.
I have. So the Neolamprologus multifasciatus and the Libridicromis corellius, those are like the most easy ones. So they started me off with like, let's do something super, super easy. And then we did the Apistogramma cockatoides double red, which were really awesome. Unfortunately, the original group that I had, they were already adults. And I don't know what age they were at, but recently, finally, the male like slowly started to kind of show that he was getting old. And I tried a couple different medications, and nothing was working. And I recently lost him, so I'm super sad about that. I've got all his girlfriends; they're kind of hanging out, but maybe I think I can get another male to keep them going.
Yeah, they don't let they're like 5 years. I have the orange flash. Pistogramma cockatoide orange flash. They live about 5 years.
I wish I could have gotten them. Like usually, I try to get fish as juveniles, because then I know how old they are. Too. And usually they'll live longer. But this guy, he was already adult size. I have no clue how old he was.
Yeah, actually, this time I did it with just buying. I usually buy adults, but this time I bought 10 fry, and then grew them from there. 8 of them made it, and we'll see what happens.
That's usually a good way to do it.
What else is on your list?
Lamprologus ocellatus gold. Finally got these guys to breed. Oh my gosh, that was difficult because I have a group that's got predominantly males, and I've only got 2 females. And one male decided he wants both of the females, and he just wants to share. But he only wants to spawn with one at a time, and then like the other one tries to eat them. This is like a whole thing. So finally, we got some babies out in the breeding containers. I'm like, yes, I did it. We also have Julichromis regani from the Winjabura area. We also did the red jewels, the Hemichromis lefolili, which was a kind of really cool experience to really see the parental behaviors of both male and female raising the fry. Because usually I'm used to like the female does all the work, usually, and the male's kind of just there.
I won't comment on that.
and then the ones I also have the Hierotilapia multispinosa was the most fun, the rainbow cichlids, because those are the ones that made like a video about the entire life cycle. And then I recently sold the group except a pair to a gentleman that was at my local swap. And so he's breeding them right now, which is awesome. The downside is my pair, now that they have no one to compete with, they decided that they don't really want to spawn anymore because they're just together. But life is not exciting anymore. So I'm going to do a little experiment and try the mirror method, where I'm going to, like a few times a day, bring in a mirror to kind of simulate like opposing fish that they can spar with, kind of get them excited again. And hopefully try to get them to breed. Because I would like to breed them a little more to spread them around locally before I end up kind of rotating that species out. And then I'm also growing out the Nanacara anomala, which I don't know much about these guys because they're kind of brand new to me. I have the Placidochromis, which are from the Jalo location. So that's pretty cool when you have like a specific cichlid species from a specific location that you know that originally generations back when they were imported wild, you know, like where they're from, because based on the different locations, there are some different variations in the cichlids in the particular lakes that they come from. And then I also have Lamprologus tigripictilis, and I think that's the whole list.
That's all. That's very impressive. And Bettas.
Yes, Betta party. I might be getting a new Betta pair soon, maybe. Fingers crossed.
Awesome. We'll look forward to that one. Speaking of some of your Betta videos, why is it important for Betta to have a heater in their tank? Beta, sorry if you say beta.
They are tropical fish, and they come from a pretty hot place. In Thailand, it gets pretty hot all the time, and it so much so that they've adapted to dealing with hotter, low oxygen water, which is why they have the labyrinth organ and they have the ability to breathe out of the water. So because of that, they do better in warmer temperatures. And colder temperatures, their metabolism does slow down. And because a lot of betta keepers do feed their bettas pellets or flake food, which is a very common food, it is very easy for them to kind of bloat, and it's harder to digest the food if it's colder for them. So in general, it's kind of better if you keep it on the warmer side. You can drop it a little bit when your fish gets older as their metabolism slows down. You usually kind of start them off pretty hot when they're fry, and just try to keep them warm, because most people's rooms are room temperature, and that's not enough for a betta. Over here, it's 79 degrees, and I'm sweating right now because I keep my fish room hot.
You've had a lot of experience breeding them. What's the worst mishap you've had with the male and female going at it?
I've been fortunate that I haven't had any big injuries happening, because usually when I do breed them, I try to pick a day where I put them together where I could be home like all day, and I will obsessively keep checking in on them. So when I had Blaze, the big half moon that I wanted to breed, he was the most aggressive male I've ever tried to breed, and he went after the female right away. And within a few minutes, I knew to take her out because he was on a mission. So I think a lot of breeders that mass breed or big breeders will do the plop and drop method. They just put a bunch of pairs together and just walk away. And if, some kill each other, I guess that's, a loss for them. But if you're a small-scale breeder, I think it's important to take time to observe your fish. I do that because I feel like, if I'm going to breed my fish, I'm going to try my best to try to minimize any injuries and deaths, especially deaths. Like, I am kind of obsessed with trying to do everything I can in keeping my fish alive, because every time a fish dies, like, I get really sad about it. Like, it really gets to me.
I feel like a failure. Actually, a fish died today. I came home and it looked sick yesterday. It was a tiger barb, and it was one of my. I've had it for over 2 years. So I don't know how old it is, but it was big, and it was kind of looking bloated yesterday. And I'm like, I gotta test the water, even though I just did. And the pH was a little low, but other than that, it was fine. And then this morning, or today when I got home from work, it was dead. It had passed. You feel like a failure. Yeah. But anyway, the banana show. So for those people that don't know what the banana show is, Banana is Kasia's dog, and Banana will talk, and Kasia does the voiceover, I believe, or maybe it's Banana. I don't know. Where'd you get the idea for the banana show?
Oh my! At one point, I the really viral video that kind of popped up with the talking dog.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wild. It was like super viral, and I was like, "That's fun. That looks like a lot of fun." And I how you sometimes secretly have these dreams like, I wish I was this or I wish I was that. Well, one of my weird secret dreams was I wanted to be like a voiceover artist, but I never thought I had the skills to do it. So I thought, if I do a little show that's mostly geared toward kids and kind of just play around with it, I don't have to be that super good at it, but at the same time, I could improve over time and have some fun with it. And for a while, it did really well, and it started having this core following of people that
really a cult following.
Yeah, but at the same time, I had a lot of people that were really annoyed with it, and I would have a lot of thumbs down, and people would get annoyed, and they're like, "What is this? I subscribed for fish. Why is there a talking dog on adventures?"
Yeah.
And I kind of let it get to me. I try not to let stuff get to me when people comment, because I like to take in a lot of feedback. I think it's a great opportunity to learn, so I kind of soak it all in. But this was the first time where I had people that sort of kind of discouraged me, and then I sort of stopped. And I've been wanting to bring back the banana show, but I'm kind of afraid because every time I do something different, it sort of struggles on the channel. Recently, I put out a sea turtle video, and I thought, okay, sea turtles, they're sea creatures, so that's kind of water related. So it's not that far off from fish stuff, and I thought it was a cool video. The people that watched it seemed to like it because I had a lot of positive comments, but it did horrible. on the YouTube analytics, it was so bad that like it was just like the line was like on the bottom compared to like how my other videos do, and I was like, no. And I'm afraid it's gonna happen again.
Compared to how your other videos do, but I think last I saw it came out like 3 days ago, and you had 900 something views or something like that. But I like that video because I've been to, was that Napili Bay where you were, right? In Maui?
I don't remember where it was exactly. I just remember that it was in Maui, but my like memory is potato memory.
But I've been there twice to where all the turtles are basking, and both times I went snorkeling with them.
Oh.
Actually, the first time was on my honeymoon, so that was 11 years ago. So my wife and I, there was like 9, and they're huge, right? Like they're like bigger than me. And we're following along and swimming with these turtles, and then you're not really paying attention to how far out we are, and then like peer up, whoa, like land is like small, and I like tap my wife like, there's sharks out here, like we got to hot tail it to back to land. So that was fun, but we kind of got a little carried away. So then the next time we went, which was like 3 years ago, we had our kids with us, so we did still snorkel, but we just made sure we were, you know, not going crazy far out there. But speaking of some here, next time, that gives you a reason to go again. Hello to a few other people here, Jasmine Young and Melvin Legacy Aquatics, Lunar Betta, Tampa Tom, Jeff Rowe Fish Keeping. Hello, Jeff Rowe, how are you? And not Nola Jane Fish Rich, I saw you here too. How's it going? Back to your videos that aren't typically your fish videos. Do you think we'll get another video where I thought this one was super cool, where you're watching that Siberian Husky and pulling you along on the bike?
Oh,
you think you'll get another time to experience one like that?
Oh, well, first of all, it depends on if my friends, either from Gone to Snow Dogs or another channel, Press Record, if they come to Chicago to visit or if we hang out. But I've been wanting to do a tutorial just in general with Banana on bike journey, like how you make your own very simple DIY setup that most people can do, and how to do some basic training. Because I think bike journey is actually a really great sport that most people can do with their dogs. It's a great way to exercise yourself, your dog. In my case, because Banana's so little, she can't really pull me. So it's mostly me doing all the work. And I did a race with her, and it was exhausting. Because she was just running like with me pretty much. She's staying in front, but she's not really pulling. And I'm going up the hill, and I'm just like, oh, I'm so out of shape. But it was great. I would like to. I think maybe this year might be the year that I can slowly try to go back to being a creative pet keeping channel instead of just a creative fish keeping channel. Maybe I'm gonna try, because I would like to. There's always the backup that I can try to start another channel to separate the content.
For sure.
You have the choice. The downside is maintaining 2 channels is a lot of work, and it's a lot
no kidding.
more difficult than
you'd have to double your video output. Speaking of DIY, how'd you come up with that idea for your DIY CO2 dispenser?
Oh, that one? I have forums, fish forums. I used to learn a lot, and I used to see a lot of cool stuff, and then I decided to try it out because the whole like fancy CO2 setups kind of intimidated me. And I thought, well, with the bottle, I can just make something temporary. It's cheap and kind of affordable. And if I don't like it, then I don't have to feel bad for spending a ton of money on like a system that you know I'm not using.
A couple $100, to something you don't like. So 2 weeks ago, I had Jason Primetime Aquatics on here, and you got a chance to tour his fish room. What is that fish room like? Oh, it's so cool. First of all, this is the whole thing about when you go to someone's fish room, the scale is so much different that you don't really get to experience in video format. Like everything is bigger. His fish are so much bigger than they. I mean, you already know they're big, but like they're big when you get to be there. And then some of his tanks, when you could walk up to them, like it kind of feels like you're kind of in the tank. So it's really, really cool to just like walk around, hang out. The first time I came over,
I sort of messed up on the filming, so I had an excuse to come by again.
Oh,
so
cool.
my fish room tour is actually 2 visits combined into 1 video. So I was like extra happy because I was like, yeah, I get to come back. Because the downside is when you're filming, you don't get to kind of enjoy and like look at the tanks as much. So because we came in again, it was nice because I got to actually just kind of just stand there and like kind of take it in and sort of just enjoy looking at all the different fish and just being there.
So you've done a couple of collabs with him in fish rooms. Do you have any more collabs planned coming up?
He has a guppy party tank that, even though he calls it the guppy party tank, I personally don't think there's much of a party happening in there. So he told me that I can like do whatever I want, redo that tank, and turn it into like an actual party tank. Like go ham.
Cool.
And I want to. I want to get the craziest gravel colors and like the craziest like decorations that you can find in fish stores, and make it like this funny random like tank that like out of all the other tanks that are like more natural, like you'll be like a what?
Like SpongeBob SquarePants and all that.
Yeah, but I feel like those tanks are not really represented in our hobby much. Surprisingly, like those are the tanks that the beginner fish keeper usually will set up.
Yeah.
But none of us do that. I mean, I prefer like practical setups and of course natural planted tanks. But I feel like if some of us once in a while like kind of have a little fun and throw in a couple colorful fake plants or some colorful gravel and some funny decorations, I feel like that could make the watcher feel like they can relate more, because I mean those tanks just work fine too. They're just as fine. Like sometimes it's a little like good to just have some fun, be wild, and like they can connect a little bit.
Like you see my kids' tanks, my daughter's got Disney princess things in there, and my son's got sharks and all that. They do have real plants in there with them, but but my son's got like the purple gravel and all that kind of stuff.
That's fun.
For sure. One of the collabs you did was, and Haley, Oddball Aquatics is here, was LRB's fish room. What was that like?
Oh my God.
And what was your favorite tank there?
Oh, I love the drip system. The huge drip system that he has. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. For the Bettas, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, he had some like issue heating it, so for Bettas, it's a little tricky to kind of make that work. But in general, like for growing up fry and it's like a fish system, like there's so many possibilities of things you can do there. And the cool thing about his place is that it's not a designated fish room per se. It's a fish house.
Fish house, right?
Like, we didn't film everything because I didn't want to like go in his bedroom and like, but literally every single room in his house has a fish. The whole place. The garage has tanks. The yard has tanks. Like there's everywhere. There's like every room. There's like a random tank there. You go to like his bathroom downstairs. There's holes with like hoses coming down so you can like do water changes. Efficiently. Like it's so cool. Like and the best part is, this is the funny thing. His carpets are pristine. He has white carpets. Really? And there's like not a stain. And which like I spill things all the time. I'm like, how do you do this?
I know, I do too. That's why I have hardwood or laminate.
He's just, I don't know. He's magical.
Rob93 is here. Fish Tropic is here. What's going on, guys? Thanks for stopping in. I have one more question about that tour that you did. Some of those shots you did, like and it looked like you were super high. How did you do that?
Oh, that was actually Daniel. So now me and him kind of team up. He went from like not knowing how to film anything to being like my go-to like cinematographer. I'm gonna give him a fancy name.
Cool. Okay.
Him, and he's very willing to learn, and he's very into filming. So what we do is we put the GoPro on top of a little stabilizer to stabilize the shot, and then we put an extender on it. So you put it and have it really high up. So that way you can have that really high looking down angle, because I think with fish rooms, you have to sort of try to capture the entire space as much as possible. And the fisheye lens sort of, because it shows you more, the angle is more wide, it in my opinion, gives you the closest look that you would have if you were looking with your eyes, obviously, because it's so wide. So I think it just gives you like a better way. So I usually stitch together footage from 3 things. It's my GoPro, I film with my phone, and then I film with a DSLR. So I do all 3, and then we'll combine all 3 into one video. Yeah,
I've seen your camera before because I think I saw some other shots of Jason taking pictures of you, and you had your camera with the microphone on it and all that stuff. So that was pretty cool. You have 14 tanks in your house. Which one is your favorite and why?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think maybe it might be the tank right there. Let's see if I'm pointing. Right there, next to the Julie's, not Julie's, but the Chromas. That was a tank with Sunny, because I have this love with jungle val, the big, tall, grassy plant. That was the first plant that ever kind of really grew really well for me. And one of my oldest videos that has, to this day, still the highest views I've ever had was just a simple tank with like no CO2, nothing fancy. It had just a normal like T3 light, and it had the whole wall of jungle val, and I think that just made it look cool. So I have like this love with jungle val, and that's like the easiest tank too, because it's a 20-gallon tall. It's fully planted. It's got some random shrimp in there. It's got a couple male endlers, just a few, and then some Malaysian trumpet snails and 1 betta. And because it's predominantly understocked, oh, and I have 1 assassin snail that's kind of taking care of the trumpet snails, because their sort of population is exploding. But for the most part, because it's an understocked tank, this is my low maintenance tank. Like, that's a tank that if I were to not water change it for a month, it would be totally okay. I still do it every week because I just water change everything.
Yeah, you're there, right?
It's nice. Like, I actually like simple, low maintenance tanks because I'm kind of lazy like that. I prefer if I get a simple tank.
I like that too.
I don't like a tank that like this tank right here. Like, I have to do 50% water changes all the time because I have 3 bristlenose plecos in there, and then like I don't even know how many of those Placidia chromis. So that one's like a little overstocked, and I have some what's it called? My plant. I forgot the name. Ooh, my brain just kind of fizzled out. But I have pothos. There we go, pothos plant. My pothos plant is growing out of there, so that's helping. But besides that, I have to like stay on top of it and do water changes all the time.
Jasmine Young has a question. What's the hardest fish in your experience?
Oh, this is gonna be a weird answer. Surprisingly, Bettas, because I have very hard water here in Chicago, and the pH is a bit high. And Bettas prefer softer water. They can't handle hard water very well. So because of that, I've never had Bettas that lived, in my opinion, a very long life. I mean, they don't, their lives aren't that short, but it's definitely not close to what I think a Betta in the correct water could possibly live. So because of that, I've always struggled with, like, eventually they get sick. Like, my cichlids are happy, especially the African cichlids. They're having like a blast. Like, I don't have to worry about anyone getting sick. Everyone like lives forever. But any of the softer water fish, like my South American cichlids, my what's it called? My Epistogramma, for example, all those kind of have a harder time, which I kind of help try to add tannins to help out.
Almond leaves or anything like that?
Yeah, I add those.
Do you ever add? Yeah.
And I'm actually at this point considering, because my parents have an RO unit that they gave me, like an older one, and they have a newer one that they use for drinking water. They got a fancy, like, there's those like electronical things. It's just super way overkill. So they gave me one that's older, and I just have to figure out how to hook it up to the sink, because since I'm renting, I can't really like attach it to the plumbing. So I have to actually like find a screw to screw it into the sink so I can attach it that way. And I'm actually considering cutting my water with RO. So probably doing like 25% RO and the rest tap water for all my softer water species to sort of help cut down on the hardness. So that way, I'm hoping that they could help with their longevity, because I do notice that all the species that prefer softer water, especially like with the Epistogramma like double red, like the one that I just lost, I feel like,
yeah,
I don't know how old he was, but I feel like if my water parameters were more ideal for this fish, he would have probably lived longer, and that kind of stuff bothers me. So I'm gonna try to see what I can do without messing around too much, because I know once you start messing with like pH and everything, you can, if you don't keep up with it, that could also kill the fish.
That's even worse. Yeah, for them. Smashy19 is saying, can creative pet keeping do another planted tank beginner or a beginner planted tank video, please?
Ooh, I actually was thinking about redoing Sunny's tank, because I use too much clay in the substrate, and now every time I do a gravel vacuum, it's just like a cloud of clay in my tank. So I was actually thinking about redoing that one, but keeping it similar, but starting it over. And I thought maybe that could be like a good setting up a tank for a betta fish in that sense. I also am considering doing maybe a nano setup as well. That could be like a very, very beginner, very simple, nothing too complicated, no fancy equipment, like accessible things you can find at the pet store, and like I can help walk like someone through it. That could be a nice little betta tank.
Yeah, for sure. KTown Reefer, I'm early today. You are not late. This is an early time for me. Normally I'm on 3 hours later, but we're on a little early today. I really like the review videos that you do, because you're super honest. Like, you did one, and off the top of my head, I can't remember what that tank was, but it was for a betta, and the light was like cooking the water, and it was like 95 degrees in spots. But like, you didn't pull any punches. Like, you told it how it was. How do you get like reactions from your review videos?
Surprisingly, these videos have been doing really well. So I'm actually filming a new one. It's right here next to me.
Okay.
And it's like a blessing and a curse, because like on one side, I feel like I can review these tanks as a betta keeper. I can look at different things that might not necessarily work for a betta without just focusing on size. I notice most people, when they think about tanks, they just look at size. They're like, if it's a small tank, it's not good. If it's a bigger space, it's great. But I feel like regardless of size, there's a lot of other factors that can play in. So I can check if a fish can swim in the filter, what happens with the different components. And I try to be as fair as possible without like raging at it. There was a couple times where I actually had to cut out clips, because I legitimately, like, the more I look into it, I just get angry. Like, I'm reading the little pamphlets that they provide, and some of the information is just I've been in denial about this for a long time, because when it comes to pet store stuff, I just stick with my basic tanks. So I have not done any of these kits. I don't know anything about them. I never looked into it. If I go to the pet store, I don't even look at it, because it's annoying. And I'm finally doing it now, and I'm just like, why? Like, some of these tanks, like, who's working? Like, for these people, have they ever had a fish?
I know.
Oh.
I've got another question here from Fish Tropic. That's why I like them, though. Got a question from Fish Tropic. What type of clay are you using?
So I don't remember the brand, but it was a I think it was PetSmart at Petco. It was the only type of actually like aquarium clay that they had. And I don't remember the brand because it's from forever ago. I got like a really big bag, and it's been lasting me for the past like 6 years. So I know it's a red clay, but I don't really remember the brand. And that's usually what I've been doing. Whenever I start up a new tank, I'll do like a little, like very thin layer. With Sunny's tank, I did a lot, which was a big mistake, and now I regret it because it completely mixed with all the gravel, and it's a mess every time I touch that tank or pull a plant out. It's just like poof, this cloud, and I'm like, no.
A nice puff of clay. Yeah. Your fish room looks super clean, though. How much time do you spend for a week in there? Like, all your tanks look super clean and everything.
It's usually clean, but it does get really messy. Every time I do water changes, it's constant mess. But because this is also my office where I do a lot of work, I did realize that if my place is really cluttery and messy, it does bother me. Like when I'm sitting here in a mess, like I don't know, just something about a mess that because I used to be like a super messy person, like the most messy person in the world. Like I could have clothes all over the floor and not care. And then like something switched maybe as I got older and I started getting more and more obsessed about cleaning. And I'm still not a very clean person, but you should have seen me at Shella. Like I was the person following people around at the booth, telling them to put their garbage away because when people eat and drink and they put their stuff down on the tables, and before you know it, it becomes like a clutter of garbage. And then all that garbage ends up being in the background of everyone's videos. And it drives me nuts. So I was like the crazy lady telling everyone.
No, that's awesome.
All the time. Like, clean up.
You're making sure everyone was on task. Clean up.
Oh.
You've got. I'm wondering about the labels that you've got on the tanks there. Is that for you to keep track of what's in there, or is that for like YouTube?
I have a horrible memory. I've always had a horrible memory. Even like earlier, you saw like I forgot my plant name, like the pothos. Like things will poof out of my brain. That's why I have to write everything down. I have to write all my species down. I have notebooks where I write down things I learned about different aspects of fish keeping that I have to revisit because I'll forget. So I actually do it for myself because I will, if I see the Latin name over and over and over again, eventually it'll start to stick. So I do it for myself just because, I don't know, I've always had really like short-term memory. I want to say I'm like a goldfish, but goldfish actually have pretty good memories. So
you're kind of like Dory is what you're saying? Maybe more like Dory?
Dory, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's sad because like sometimes if I go especially to expos and I talk to people, like my brain will sometimes blank. And I'll have this like really stupid moment where I can't answer like basic things that I know, but it just like it comes out and I can't remember and I feel so stupid and embarrassed. So I don't know. I wonder if like anyone else like struggles.
Oh, for sure, totally. Yeah, totally. We all do. Rip Van Winkle is in the house. Hello, Terry Lindsay in the house. E-Money Cichlids, Aquarium Monsters. What's going on, man? So what type of shrimp do you have, or are they all Daniel's shrimp?
They're all at the moment. Well, there are shrimp. We share together. He does the water changes.
Okay.
It's nice because there's only 2 tanks in the fish room. I don't have to water change.
Yeah.
I do everything else. Like I'll feed them sometimes, and I'll help scape because Daniel tries to scape tanks, but he doesn't know how. And which I'm okay with because, to be honest, the tanks don't have to look super fancy. Like if he wants to set it up how he wants it, and if it doesn't look fancy, like it's totally cool. Like I don't mind. Like do it however, it's your tank. But he gets really self-conscious because then it becomes on video, so then he wants me to like fix it and like do it my way. So I ended up like kind of digging in and like redoing the tanks all the time. But they're at the moment all Neocaridina shrimp. Oh, we have pumpkin orange, we have the blue dreams, and then we have like a random hodgepodge over there from the aquatic experience from the shrimp competition. They had some leftover shrimp, and the Shrimp King came over. Cool. Like, here's a bag of some shrimp. And I was like, thank you.
Cool.
I appreciate it.
Nice. That's awesome. I have a question here from Smashy19. Will you do a sorority tank again?
Ooh, I need to make a video about that. So, I used to be very pro sorority, and the more I started learning about fish body language and behavior, the more I started to realize that what, in my opinion, was an okay tank with fish that do well together, there's actually a lot of problems that I didn't notice before that. Like, if I look back at my sorority videos, like, I cringe. Because I see a lot of problems and a lot of fights waiting to happen, and a lot of stress and just things like, as you get better with something, you just learn to notice things that you wouldn't notice before. And I read online over and over again how people, have these tanks and like one fish, something changes, and all of a sudden they can all go after each other and kill each other. And it is such a high risk setup that at this point, I don't think it's worth it. I've had so many horrible things happen. I've had one of my favorite females have her whole lip ripped off to the point where she couldn't eat properly anymore because she lip locked and got in a fight with another female. So at this point, like, I changed my complete stance. Like, I mean, I won't judge someone for their choice if they want to do a sorority or not. You know, it's you know, their choice if they want to, you know, risk it. But in my opinion, it's too stressful. I already deal with cichlids, and they're aggressive, and they're fighting all the time, and I have to deal with that. I don't want to do that anymore, which is why I prefer the divided betta tanks that I have right now. I have both males and females in a divided 20 long, and it gives me peace of mind knowing that my fish are okay. They're not going to fight with each other. They're not going to injure each other. It's just better that way, I think. Just because female bettas, I mean, realistically, they're still solitary fish.
Yeah.
They're less aggressive than males to a certain extent, but I've seen female bettas that are so mean and so nasty. They make males look peaceful, like. And
actually,
you get that.
All the bettas that I have are in. This is the only tank behind me that doesn't have a betta in it, so I keep them in community tanks as well. And my big tank, my 220 gallon, which has got like tiger barbs and all that, has the meanest female betta in there that I've ever kept. I tried breeding it with a couple of males that I have, and the first one I put it in, I had to take it out after 2 minutes because it was already like ripping up the fins of the male. Like, it's the meanest betta I've ever had, let alone female betta. But I know what you mean. I got a question from Question from Legacy Aquatics. You ever gonna do a saltwater tank?
I would like to. My dream setup, which is like the most lame thing ever to most people, is I just want a goby and a piston shrimp because they have a symbiotic relationship. The shrimp digs the tunnels. The goby is like his little water, and they hang out together. And it's like I would be content with like maybe like a 20 gallon with deep enough substrate and just those two, nothing else. Like maybe. Would they be okay with corals? If they would, I don't know. Then I would try coral, but like I'd be okay. Just those two. I know that I've noticed from talking with other fish keepers that usually if you have a saltwater tank, freshwater, but your channel is freshwater, people don't want to see saltwater tanks. Or
I know. I hear that all the time too. Yeah.
So the only way I think it would make sense for my channel would be if I had a saltwater fish that had enough of a personality or something like weird about it, that even though freshwater people would be like, oh, I'm still kind of interested in this. I really think the goby and the shrimp might be like a cool option. But I think that I need to do more research. I need to kind of befriend more saltwater people just so I can kind of ask people questions and just kind of figure out what I can do. But I would love it because I mean in Shella I saw so many beautiful saltwater setups and it's gorgeous. It's like a whole, you know, new world, and it's amazing. And I would like to, at least on a small scale, just be able to enjoy it. Especially corals. Corals are cool. They have little tiny
corals are super cool. I would definitely, if I ever did saltwater, I would do corals for sure. And Aquarium Monsters saying seahorses. I've seen seahorses once for sale. And the small ones for $300 and the big ones for $500. So not something that I'm going to jump into right away.
Seahorses, like, they're too far. It's kind of like how people ask me about reptile.
If I bought two seahorses and they died, my wife would lose it on me spending that much money. And then they die. What's your dream fish?
My dream fish? Oh. I have to think deep about that one.
Like one that you have never had before that you would like to have.
I have a very funny one. Most purists that don't like hybrids would be very angry for this, but I really want a flower horn because they're just so ridiculously funny and they have so much personality. And like the ideal one in my mind would be like a reddish yellow one, like with a lot of yellow in it. Maybe a female because females are smaller. Like, and I think Yeah, I don't like the huge head bump. See, this is I don't, when it comes to exaggerated features on fish, I don't like when it goes too far, which is why with like goldfish, I don't like goldfish with really exaggerated features. Some that have some exaggerated, it's okay. But my favorite is common goldfish, which is like the common, boring. But I love them.
Yeah, that's what my dad has in his pond, just common goldfish. Yeah.
But yeah, oh my gosh, I want to get a flower horn one day. Fun fact: Daniel's parents back in Malaysia used to breed and sell flower horns and arowana. So Daniel grew up with them.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That is a fun fact. So what is next? What's next in the fish room for you? Are you going to, anything coming up? Anything new coming for the channel?
Well, I'm starting to kind of expand my little shrimp corner. I recently set up yet another little nano tank next to the 5-gallon with the Blue Dreams. So that's kind of very slowly spreading. Rob from Flip Aquatics actually wants to kind of prep me and teach me into getting into like Caridina and like crystal tigers, which I'm like terrified of. So he's
the tigers, in my experience, were easier than the crystals. Anyway, sorry.
But like he had him like holding my hand. We're doing baby steps right now. So I'm kind of thinking about that. If I get the pair of Bettas that I was hoping to get, then hopefully there'll be another Betta breeding series, because this one failed completely with my male eating the eggs twice. You
got some super cool shots, though. That looked very cool.
I do have one baby that survived their one child, which is ironically now living in the shrimp tank, because the shrimp tank, the pumpkin orange shrimp tank, has a lot of small microorganisms in there. So I have to feed him or her. He just hunts all day and like eats little live food in there. So he's going to grow up with shrimp. I'm actually doing an experiment where I wonder if he grows up with shrimp, or she, will this Betta not have any aggression towards shrimp once it gets bigger?
Interesting.
I'm curious.
That's interesting, because I've got like my pisto fry with a bunch of shrimp right now, and I'm wondering, like, do I need to move these pistos out soon? Because some of the shrimp in there are bigger than a pisto still. But anyway, so your goal, the long-term goal, is to do YouTube full-time.
Yeah.
And you're thinking maybe next year that's going to be something that you can do. What else do you have to do to get there? You're almost there, right?
Yeah, I have to just keep growing my channel, figure out what content does better, so I can get obviously better ad revenue, and also figure out what companies I can work with. I finally started getting small brand sponsorships. They're not very big at the moment, but it's a great learning experience, and I'm hoping that if I can get bigger sponsorships that can help support my channel. And then I have like one super secret dream that I can't say because it's super secret, but it kind of ties in with my channel, that I'm hoping that if my channel grows, that I guess the only thing I can say is it's hopefully going to be a public space that people can come hang out in and be a part of. Versus,
awesome.
In this room, I can't really invite many people here because, safety reasons, stranger danger. I can only like invite, if I know a fish keeper well. And to be able to see a tank in person is so much more awesome than video. So like my goal one day is to have like an area where I could have anybody and everybody come, whoever wants to, and be able to see tanks that they've seen in video in person and enjoy it. But
that's cool.
That's my
awesome.
super big dream. That's
a great dream to have. So what's your uploading schedule? When's the next video coming out?
I actually don't have. So I had one before. I used to do 3 videos a week. Plus I had a video that I would put out for my vlog channel that sort of died. But then I realized that I was burning out a little bit. So for the sake of not burning out, I've been keeping it kind of flexible. I try to do a minimum of 1 video a week, or 2 if possible. Right now I'm working on another Betta tank review, the little kit that I bought. So that will be the next thing, hopefully either tomorrow or Friday. Probably more realistically it'll be Friday. I'll try to have that out. Ideally, I would like to go back to a schedule, but now for the sake of like my own sanity, it's been a lot better to have a little bit of flexibility as I'm kind of improving my like work schedule and the way I do everything, and it's been kind of helping, because there was like a time last year where I was like about to quit YouTube because I was tired. Like I was having like just I felt like I was running out of ideas. I know that there's like endless ideas, but in my head I didn't have any. And you know that like panicking feeling where you feel like you have to put out a video, but then like you don't know what to do.
I've been there. I've been doing it for just over a year, but I've been there.
It happens with everyone, and I think it's something like you have to learn to sort of manage it. And for me, what helped a lot is I've been like really prioritizing working on my mental health and like just taking time for myself, like teaching myself to not panic and obsess over things and like calm down. And this year has been like tremendously better. Like now that I actually take the time to actively work on myself and improve myself, and kind of like also be aware of like normal, I mean, everyone has their own problems or issues, like just to be aware of things that are happening to me, or at least in my head, and to tell myself like I'm aware this is happening, like I'm thinking this or that, like, or negative thoughts, or I overthink, and then it's okay, and acknowledge it, and then like try to do something that will help like counteract is awesome. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. But it's been working so far.
Good. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today. I've had a great time. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you everyone for watching. Sorry, what was that?
That was like a hug. That was an internet hug.
I'll give you one back. Thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you so much for watching, everybody. And thank you for the moderators for all your hard work today. And thank you for the super chats. I just want to say one more time, Kasia, thank you very much for joining me. It was awesome. That was fun.
Thank you for having me. Happy Dan.
Join me next week for another edition, Friday Fish Facts.